Hi guys, I was going to make a new class for spring and I decided to videotape it just so Christine could see what I'm doing. I logged into MATHXL and then I'm going to go under the instructor button to course manager. I'm going to copy a class, whichever one. So let's say I want to copy the 90 Emporium and I'm just going to name it. I'm going to go to the drop down menu and copy. What I want to remind you is that you have to choose whether you're going to call it be a standard class or not. And that's something that it won't let you go on without it. Oh, I think I clicked on the wrong go button here. So type of course, we're going to create standard. The coordinator courses are for if you had like multiple sections that all had the same due dates, you could control them that way. It creates trouble. I don't recommend it. Anyway, I'm going to call these classes Spring 2017. Maybe I'll just do 17, Math 90 Emporium. You can call them whatever you want, but it's nice to know what you're looking at when you see the class. Then I'm going to go to Next. You could save at any time, but the course is available. Usually is set up pretty nicely. Make sure that your time is set up for Pacific time because that's not the default, but by now it is for mine. And then I want to show you here where it says allow other instructors to copy this course. The default is that they can't copy it. So if you want somebody to be able to copy it, you have to choose that. And then you could just click save at this time, but I'm going to just show you a few other things you can decide here. You can change the email address in the Ask My Instructor. They have all the chapters. We don't cover all the chapters, but I figure if you leave them all in, then students can take a look at them, and that's kind of nice. Is if they don't, even if they're not going to cover them, they can still go in and study that on their own. So I don't delete any of those. I used to do that to just have the ones in there that we were using, but that didn't end up happening. The lockdown option is more about when students taking a test. If you've chosen that, then they can't open any other browsers while they're testing. I typically don't do it. It's created some problems in the past. We could also just say IP restricted, so we know they're only taking tests on these computers with this IP address. Also, we don't have that because we don't know which computer they're going to be testing on. And we don't require the test generator we don't use for this. For Math 90, I don't have you an example on there because students abuse it so much, but you can do that. That's your choice if you want. I do leave the calculator up just because, but I wish that this is what I wanted to do, edit my email address. I noticed that I had the CTC in there. So you can leave any of these up. Of course, textbook and animation, those are all good ones to have. The Help Me Solve, again, they use that. They have to redo the problem, so I leave it in, but it's up to you which one of those you want to put in there. But definitely leave this because students can email you through there if you have that in there. And that's it. So then it's going to make the course, and I'm going to show you how I change the dates a little quicker. Has all my stuff in there. I don't know why I chose that. I thought I was going to be editing my email address. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to do that. All right, so then you're going to go to Homework and Test Manager. Oh, by the way, if you go to Home Page Manager, you'll see all the emails that you posted from last quarter. I have one up here about the hours for this. And if I want to have that up, even though the hours might change, but I want to do that, I'm just going to go and change the date so that students don't see it as an old email, as an old announcement. I can just click through and put this up here to March. When's our class start? April 3rd. Start it, anytime. I'm going to actually start it today so we can see it because if you have it delayed. And notice it says display on an alternative date on course home calendar. I'm just going to do it on this one so it's up there immediately, and I'm not removing it because I want that to be there. if I had students enrolled in the class and I hit save and email, then I'd have a chance to email them this message, which is a good idea because people don't read the message. And then here's my first day of the quarter email or announcement. So I'm going to edit that as well to have the current date on it. I'm going to display on this date, and this is just a welcome class, and it just tells a few things that I think are important. You could have whatever you want in there. And you can change the order of your announcements over here by clicking on this menu, and you can rearrange them if you want. The last one has about Office 365, which I've had on there forever, but I don't know if anybody reads that anymore. So there's that. Also, if you go to, not Course Manager, that's not what I wanted to do. If you click on the grade book after you've been in a class, it goes back to the last one that you were in. Go to Course Home, that's what I meant. If you go to Course Home, you can go down to that View Course Documents. And when you copy a course, automatically the anything you had in there for students to see is unavailable to them until you make it available. So if you have things that you automatically have in your 90 class, you have to go back in and select them. And if it takes too long, I'm going to get out of here because sometimes, I don't know why, but the course documents take a long time on my home computer to load. But basically, there'll be a little checkbox, and if it's not checked, the students can't see it. So it's in there, but you have to check it in order for them to see it, and it's not worth it for me to show you that, but now you know. If you go to Homework and Test Manager, this is the important thing that I want to show you. Notice that all these due dates are from this quarter, January, whatever. And also notice I don't have due dates on my videos. And so here's a problem that I can help you solve, though. Any of the practice tests, let's look at the class settings for that. No, I don't have it there. Let's show you one. If you have something where you have a required date to submit by a certain date, that's going to mess you up when you submit these, but I don't see anything like that. Okay, let me just check this one. If you say that the test is due on February 2nd, but it has to be turned in by the 5th, and then when you go in to change this on this setting, it's going to throw everything into a tizzy. So I don't have any examples of that, but you'll experience it. So what I want to do is change the dates and assign status, this button up here, instead of going in and changing each one individually. So what I want to do is go and choose the ones, and I don't want to choose anything that doesn't have a due date. So see how this video doesn't have a due date? It would mess things up if I choose that to change the due date on something that doesn't have a due date. It's going to say, well, there's no due date. How can we do that? So you want to make sure you're only choosing these assignments that have a due date associated with them. And if you go through and choose all of them at once, you can then add on dates, add the days on since you last were in the class, and that's going to allow you to not have to change everyone individually if you can figure it out. So I want my first assignment to be due on, for my class, I want it to be due on Wednesday, the 5th of April. So I'm trying to add days on until I see that due date being Wednesday, the 5th of April. So then if I add that many days, everything else will forward to the rest of them. All right, it's taking me forever to choose these, but I always want to make sure I don't choose any of the other ones that messes things up. So now I've chosen them, and then I'm going to come up here and say add subtract days. And I'm going to go over to where it says due, and I'm going to add days. And I could have figured this out in advance. Maybe you guys will be smarter. But January, February, March, April, that's about 90 days. I'm going to say 90 days. I really want to apply that. And you see how that came out to be the 6th? And I really wanted that to be due on the 5th. So I'm going to now subtract one day. And now my first homework assignment is due on the 5th, and then everything else should be in line because I always have them set up. So all these dates now are moved up into the new quarter just with me doing that one click. See this one? There was one I saw that I missed. I didn't get that one clicked, so that happens, right? Then you're going to come down here and make sure that you update changes or all settings, but you have to update or it doesn't save it. Now if I go into my homework manager and see my assignments, I can see that they're all in order, and I can check my calendar that I made and make sure that it lines up with my calendar, and there may be a few little changes, but it's not going to be as hard to do if I hadn't done that. All right, that's creating a course and changing the dates. Have a fantastic day, you guys.